Who has had more influence on what we can? I would say Gingrich. He poisoned the bloodstream.
Gingrich set the template.
In fact, you know, that reminds me. There was a great piece by Matt Stoller in the Times in response to the corruption of the think tanks that we had talked about yesterday. And he made a very good point about why we're living in this sort of post-truthy world. Where is this piece? Son of a gun. Here it is. Okay. And Stoller is a fellow at the Roosevelt Institute, and he's on the staff of the Senate Budget Committee. And he says there's an inherent conflict posed in the financing of policy ideas. On the one hand, money is required to assemble the data and narratives necessary to present policy options. On the other hand, money can also, in and of itself, corrupt those ideas. One traditional answer is publicly financed research institutions. Since 1800, the Library of Congress has helped Congress formulate the policy. The Congressional Research Service was set up by the progressive Senator Robert La Follette. Hoover established a General Accounting Office. For 40 years, House Democrats ran an internal think tank known as the Democratic Study Committee. It was so influential, even Republicans relied on its unbiased analysis of legislation. In the 70s, the Office of Technology Assessment was established to help Congress work through technical and scientific problems. It did pioneering research on such diverse topics as railroads, HIV, climate change, and industrial policy. The government also financed research within private institutions across universities and at think tanks. In 1995, Newt Gingrich created a new system of private governance. He eliminated the Democratic Study Group and the Office of Technology Assessment. The budgets of congressional committees, the GAO, and the CRS stagnated. The result was an outsourcing of policy analysts to privately funded institutions. And thus, folks, we move into the era of truthiness or post-truth politics. Stoller goes on to tie in the consolidation, the concentration of corporations into this problem. From 96 to 2012, the number of publicly listed companies dropped to 4,000 from roughly 8,000. That's an amazing figure. Over the course of less than 20 years, the number of public corporations halved. So that means that there are not only fewer public financing streams, but fewer private ones. I mean, this is sort of also, you know, the problem that you have with income inequality. The money's in the hands of too few people. And it creates a disequilibrium in our governing structures and in our intellectual production structures. He gives two examples. In 2009, over half of the editorial board members of the Journal of Monetary Economics were on the payroll of one of the Federal Reserve banks. Adherence to Fed-friendly norms is thus standard for economists. Nearly half the speakers at the Federal Trade Commission's recent PrivacyCon were financed by Google. Great. More than half the research papers presented included authors with financial ties to Google. In other words, there's no competition of ideas. There's no competition of data, of facts. It also increases the problem of influence peddling. There will always be instances of corruption, but the system will work if we ensure that no concentration of power becomes overwhelming. There should be multiple public streams from different agencies in different branches of government. And we should strive to keep corporations small and competitive to ensure diversity of perspectives within the private space. He quotes the Revolutionary Era weaver turned politician William Findley. Wealth in many hands operates as many checks. It's an excellent point. And it is a complete, it is a complete rebuke to the idea that we can make our democracy stronger by making government smaller in relation to corporations. What we need to do is stem the tide of corporate concentration. We need to increase public streams. It never even occurred to me, like, why would you have two different agencies financing what appears to be similar work? Well, there's a great reason for it. And Stoller makes it up. It's so that you get a better sense of what the reality is. So it's not just coming from one place. Hello, you. I'm Sam Seder. Looking for smart progressive talk that is occasionally amusing? Well, subscribe to our YouTube feed. Subscribe to our podcast. Like us on Facebook. And just generally enjoy us.